triple lens flagship drone is back, this time more powerful, more refined, and packed with some game-changing features. We're talking about a brand new version of the 4/3 CMOS sensor, now with a f2.0 aperture and claimed 16 stops of dynamic range. You've got a 28mm equivalent lens on a wild new gimbal that can do full 360-degree rolls, 25 megapixel stills that can be upscaled to 100, up to 6K 60 FPS, and 512GB of internal storage. There's also OcuSync 4 Plus, an updated airframe that's sleek, faster and more stable in the air, upgraded telephoto lenses including the beautiful 70mm from the Air 3S, and finally a fully usable 168mm zoom. And don't get me started on the new DJI RC Pro 2, my favourite controller to date. Before we get stuck in, which of these new features sounds most exciting to you? And do they solve any problem you've had in the past with drones? Drop it in the comments while we go deeper into the upgrades. We're starting with what might be the biggest refinement, the all-new 4/3 CMOS sensor, powered again by Hasselblad Color Science. Let me tell you, this sensor is a beast. You get crazy clean 6K video, the option for 100 megapixel upscaled stills, 16 stops of dynamic range, and a level of clarity and richness that honestly puts it in striking distance of something like the Inspire 3. Not even joking. We've also now unlocked all-eye encoding, essentially similar to ProRes but with fixed bitrate. The quality is unreal, but heads up, the file sizes are massive. I accidentally left it in this mode for 2 days and nearly maxed out the internal storage. Also worth mentioning, the fixed aperture 28mm lens is a throwback to the Mavic 2 Pro days, replacing the 24mm lens that has become standard on DJI's current lineup. Honestly, I didn't notice the slighter tighter field of view when flying, but did notice how amazing the image quality looks. The flares on the warmer side and a real upgrade from the greenish look you got on the Mavic 3 Pro. You also get a wider aperture range between f2 and f11, and the app now recommends the sensor's sweet spot, which is f2.8 on the Mavic 4 Pro. And it's just always nice to have actual flares and sun stars, unlike the blob of light you get with the smaller DJI sensors, due to the mechanical shutter on this lens. So overall, a better sensor, sharper, cleaner lens, more cinematic control, a big win for image quality. Now let's talk vertical, and I'll be honest, I usually shoot everything horizontal and then crop if the need comes. But with 6K, that's even more desirable. But vertical mode is huge for platforms like Instagram and TikTok, and a lot of you have been screaming at DJI for native vertical shooting on flagship drones. Well, it's here, and the new Mavic 4 Pro gives you the native 6K vertical shooting, and that's not a crop, it's the real deal. Plus, you can shoot vertically with all 3 lenses now thanks to this innovative gimbal design. But there are caveats. You're limited to a gimbal range of minus and plus 10 degrees. Your flying speed gets capped to protect the gimbal, and even in sport mode, the drone starts off slow in vertical mode, around 3 meters a second, and then ramps up unexpectedly, which can throw you off mid-shot. Do you shoot a lot of vertical, and if so, would you trade gimbal freedom and the speed for true native vertical? Curious to how you would use it, since it's not perfect like the Mini 4 Pro's gimbal range. It's nice to have vertical option, but just know it's not without its compromises. And speaking of compromises, music can make or break your project, and that's why I use Musicbed. It's hands down the best music licensing platform out there. Being rights managed, they have a curated library of insane songs from real artists. Whether you're editing a commercial, a travel film, or a YouTube video, you'll find the perfect song to match your vision. Licensing is simple, and again, the music is unmatched. Start your free trial today at musicbed.com and with the link in the caption below. And okay, back to why you tuned in. Now here's something I've been wanting to say. All 3 lenses are finally usable and high quality. Remember the original Mavic 3's 160mm telephoto? It was rough, soft, hard to focus, and kind of a gimmick. The Mavic 3 Pro introduced a much better 70mm lens, which quickly became my go-to, and now the Mavic 4 Pro keeps that 70mm but uses the updated sensor and lens from the Air 3S. So now we have the 70mm, which is the times 2.5, has a 1/1.3 image sensor, f2.8 aperture, up to 4K 100 FPS, 12/48 megapixel stills, 14 stops of dynamic range. Then the 168mm, which is the times 6, a new 1/1.5 image sensor, f2.8, up to 4K 100 FPS, 12.5/50 megapixel stills, and 13 stops of dynamic range. Sure, the 168mm has a smaller sensor, but with better optics and processing, it actually delivers. You do still have to deal with atmospheric haze at that zoom level, but now I find myself wanting to shoot more at this zoom range. You'll also be glad to know we get proper D-Log with these new lenses, and not just D-Log M as previous, but ISO is locked at 400 at the base. That said, I'm still happy using D-Log-M on these longer lenses, and using a monitoring LUT just makes on-location shooting easier. Still, kudos to DJI for listening and giving us the choice. This is where things get interesting. The new gimbal can do full 360-degree rolls in flight. Think of it like strapping a Ronin to your drone. It's an incredible piece of engineering and definitely opens the door for fresh camera movements. I tried rolling whilst pushing in, pulling out, or even orbiting. It does look cool, but it raises the question, why? Rolling the camera in cinema often signals tension or change in a character's world. Cinematically, yes, for a DJI commercial it looks cool, but it quickly becomes a gimmick without intention. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys, the more creative people, come up with to showcase this new gimbal roll. There are some limits though. Just like vertical mode, speed and gimbal tilt affect your roll range. In sport mode, you'll get warning messages and reduced movement of the roll axis. I found flying backwards helped maintain the full 360-degree range, and even flying in slower speed modes such as Cine or normal. One challenge I had was hitting the perfect 90, 180 or 360-degree roll in the flight. It's trickier than it sounds, and maybe DJI can improve the precision of the controls in the future, and maybe add a limiter so you're not needing to roll off the wheel of the controller very smoothly. Definitely an innovation and something we see throughout the new features on the Mavic 4 Pro, but if overused, it serves no purpose other than looking cool. The controller I never thought I needed, and when I first saw the images DJI sent over in the NDA pack, I wasn't too positive on how big it looked. But the RC Pro 2 is sleek, refined, and honestly a pleasure to use. Yes, it's larger than, say, the RC2 or even the original RC or RC Pro, but I find it offers the same comfort and now has an added bonus of a collapsible 7-inch screen, which peaks at 2000 nits, has a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio, supports 10-bit display, and it shows. Viewing your flight on this is like having an Apple Studio display with you. I was flying in bright sun quite a lot and found for the first time I wasn't hunting for shade. To turn the controller on, unfold the screen and boom, it's on. To turn it off or enter sleep mode, fold it away. The sticks don't even need to be screwed into place anymore as they collapse as you adjust the screen. On another note, the new controller has a clever trick up its sleeve. With the actual screen, it can rotate from horizontal through 90 degrees to vertical, and when doing so, automatically rotates the gimbal on the drone so you can seamlessly switch between the two modes. The top houses the foldable antennas, which surprisingly only fold out to 90 degrees and lock into place. There's no adjustment, but with support for OcuSync 4 Plus now, we technically could fly 30 kilometers, which is madness. UI wise, it offers third-party apps, 4 hours battery life, 128 gigabytes of internal storage, full-sized HDMI out for external monitoring, USB-C, built-in microphone, and supporting the DJI mic system. And finally, I haven't tested yet, but apparently supports both dynamic home point and backwards compatible with those drones on OS 4. All in all, I'm very pleased with this new controller, and it'll be strange going back to the RC2 or even the RC. Okay, so a few final quickfire upgrades worth mentioning. Auto on function, takeoff times are noticeably quicker now. The drone powers on automatically when you unfold the arms and flip out the RC Pro 2 screen. Personally, I wasn't a fan of this on the drone. Reminded me of the DJI Flip, so I disabled it. I prefer setting up and waiting before taking off. Fast charging, the new charger hub and desktop charger are seriously fast thanks to simultaneous charging and the 245 watt output. You can charge 3 high capacity batteries in just 90 minutes, which is crazy. Battery life, DJI claims 51 minutes of flight time, but I was getting around 43 minutes on a hover test. Still decent, but expect to be on the boundary of 40 minutes when you're actually flying. A LiDAR sensor has now been added on the front right leg, much like the Air 3S. I haven't tested it much myself since I rarely fly in low light, but it's good to know it's there, enable better obstacle detection when bypass mode is active. Low light vision sensors, this is actually one of my favorite additions. While previous drones had similar vision sensors, the Mavic 4 Pro lets you view both the vision sensors and the map on screen at the same time, with the 6 fisheye optics scattered around the drone. Super handy for complex flying, and I found myself using it a lot since I fly in sports mode quite often, and I like to double check I'm not about to hit anything. Not sure, however, if this feature is exclusive to the DJI Pro RC2, so something we need to explore in the next video. With all these upgrades and refinements, is it really worth considering over the Mavic 3 Pro? In short, yes. And now that I've been flying the Mavic 4 Pro for the last few months, Picking up the Mavic 3 Pro feels like a downgrade and almost feels like a toy. The Mavic 4 Pro shoots 6K on the main lens versus 5.1K on the Mavic 3 Pro. It might not sound huge on paper, but the quality leap is massive. It's cleaner, sharper, and looks far more high-end. Like I said earlier, we're edging closer to that Inspire 3 look. Obviously a full frame system, so it's a different beast, but the Mavic 4 Pro isn't too far behind. On the Mavic 3 Pro, I only ever really used the 24 and 70mm lenses. The third lens just felt unusable, but on the Mavic 4 Pro, all three lenses deliver. And the new 70mm uses the new 1/1.3" image sensor, giving a much sharper, cleaner image. And now you've got D-Log across both the longer lenses, which is a great deal for color grading. As for the 168mm lens, there's no comparison. It outshines the older 166mm in every way. With a new 1/1.5" sensor and improved lens design, it actually focuses, performs better in low light, and with a f2.8 aperture, it's tack sharp. The telephoto system on the Mavic 3 Pro just feels outdated now. For the photographers out there, other than vertical photos, the upgrade is a bit more subtle. Yes, the Mavic 4 Pro ups the native resolution from 20 megapixel to 25 megapixel, and the 100 megapixel upscaling is surprisingly clean, but in lower light you're still going to have that same weird color noise we found on the DJI Flip, Mini 4 Pro and Air 3S. Keep it in 25 megapixel and the new sensor is a lot sharper and produces a cleaner image output. Now what is surprising, and it's something DJI doesn't explicitly mention, is the 4/3 CMOS sensor now has 14-bit raw color depth, whereas the Mavic 3 Pro only has 12-bit. This is a considerable upgrade when you think about it, but this is only in the 25 megapixel mode and not the 100 megapixel mode. Something I only found out yesterday and explains why this 6K screen grab has more dynamic range than this 100 megapixel image taken at the same time of the day. Just look at the difference in the highlights. Another leap is dual native ISO fusion, which allows greater flexibility when shooting in low light situations across all three lenses. Pushing from 100 ISO to 400 ISO does not hinder the quality of the images in terms of sharpness or noise levels. On the telephoto side of things, we have 12-bit RAWs, but again only in the native resolutions of 12 megapixel and 12.5 megapixel respectively. So even though I've been shooting in the upscaled modes throughout this campaign, I'll be going back to the native resolutions from now on to preserve more dynamic range and color information. The Mavic 3 Pro doesn't shoot vertical at all, so you had to crop in post. That works, but it limits flexibility and makes things look a little soft in vertical sequences. The Mavic 4 Pro, on the other hand, offers native vertical video and photos, which I think will be a huge draw for many. Just keep in mind that there's some limitations with gimbal range and speed in vertical mode. Now, battery life, DJI claims 51 minutes. As the previous chapter, we are getting around 40 minutes of real flight time, which is actually closer to the quoted Mavic 3 Pro flight time of 43 minutes. In reality, you'll get about 30 minutes with the Mavic 3 Pro, so this is a good leap. So is it worth upgrading if you shoot professionally or just want the best drone out there? The Mavic 4 Pro isn't just an upgrade, it's a full-on replacement. From image quality to usability and agility, this is just hands down the best drone I've ever flown. And that's the new Mavic 4 Pro, and honestly, it's been such a joy to fly over the last few months. It's not perfect, it has some flaws, but despite its size and weight increase, the improvements are enough for me to switch over permanently from the Mavic 3 Pro as my main workhorse. Let me know if you've got any questions below and you're thinking of upgrading. What are you most excited about? If you haven't seen my Mavic 4 Pro Cinematic, I'll leave it up here and down in the comments below. For now, thanks for watching, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.